So reality itself is racism, or at least it can be. We are so told now. Unironically, the British government is telling us this. Cool.
Oh, great.
Don't know what I'm talking about. Sorry. Just the fact that obviously reality is also misogynist and transphobic. You can go check out Analyzing What is a Woman, of course, to find that out. But we shall begin with the prison jobs, which are racism itself incarnate.
Prison jobs?
Yes.
So not even being in the prisons anymore, but working in them.
Yeah, being in the adverts, at least, is racism. So we have BBC News reporting prison job advert banned for racial stereotyping. They don't provide an image of the advert. They just provide an image of a prison cell.
I always find it interesting that they report about something being over the line, but then never show it. In fact, I wrote an entire article on the website about this where they talk about what's forbidden, particularly things like memes, and then they don't show you what it is, so you don't know how to follow it. So,
well, presumably it was dark and evil, and would make you go out and kill people of different races if you saw it. Otherwise, why else would you need to ban it? A prison job advert showing a black inmate and a white officer has been banned due to racial stereotyping. This reinforced a negative stereotype based on the association between black men and criminal activity, it found.
Oh yeah, that association, that's definitely racist, isn't it?
As we know, there are no black people in prison at all. They don't commit any kinds of crimes.
The only reason they're there is because of racism. This is absolutely 100% true.
A white prison officer presumably planted cocaine on the suspect in the prison, and therefore he's in the prison. In case you're wondering what might be going on, well, presumably what was happening is complete fiction, such as, this classic from Brass Eye, in which they black up a reporter, and then within 15 minutes he commits a crime, and then a local black man comes on to say, well, now that I've seen the evidence, I have to say sorry on behalf of all black people. So presumably it was something like that, the advert, just, complete made-up nonsense, complete fiction to try and demonize black people. Maybe the black guy was there, it was some kind of cartoon black man, perhaps, completely not real. Here's the image, in case you're wondering, if we go this.
I mean, I'm so offended just looking at that. I mean, they're smiling, they're happy, they're being amicable.
Yeah. Black and a white talking as if it's normal.
He hasn't got,
I would say.
He hasn't got a prison shiv inside of his rib cage, does he? So I feel like this is not necessarily a negative depiction.
No, I can't find anything racist about this image either, except perhaps that they're two actors. Neither of these people are actually from where they're purported to be. They're just there to keep a brother down. Of course, this whole thing was set up. The cameraman, member of the Klan, and he was like, "How do I make sure black people look like criminals? Well, I'll get a white police officer and a black inmate, and not either of those, just actors, because of course this can't be real, because black people are never in prison, and white people are never prison officers. This situation here is entirely fictional. Could never happen." Yeah, no, it's real. If you go to the ruling for the Ministry of Justice about why this image is racism, if you can't find it, I can't either, but the Ministry of Justice have come out to tell us why. A paid-for Facebook ad of the Ministry of Justice prison job scheme, seen on the 25th of June 2022, featured an image of a white police officer talking to a black inmate, with superimposed text that said, "Become a prison officer, one career, many roles." I'm not seeing the racism yet.
No.
A caption accompanying the image stated, "We're key workers, problem solvers, life changers. Join us to perform a vital role at HMP Wormwood Scrubs."
Quite an infamous prison.
The Ministry of Justice said the prison officer recruitment campaign ran every week of the year across a range of media, including social media, physical posters, and radio and video on demand. The campaign's aim was to recruit prison officers. I thought this was a bleeding obvious, but whatever, it's a legal proceeding, so they have to state the bleeding obvious. Did you know we made this campaign to recruit prison officers, not to, get black people killed in society? Funny that. Strange. That meant there would be multiple instances of prisoners and officers of different ethnicities interacting. In their view, the general public would understand that prisons in England and Wales house offenders and prisoners of multiple ethnicities.
I don't think anyone questions that. I don't think there's a single person in this country who's just like, yes, all of our prisoners, they're one race.
No, the prisoner
race.
Well, we have prisoners and prison officers of various races and ethnicities, so they might interact. And the Ministry of Justice is like, no, they ain't. Just white people in prison, white officers. That's all that can be allowed to be showed. Otherwise, racism. But the prison continues, saying that was reflected in the representations of prisons and media, including news, broadcast, and creative programming. So the prison's position is that, well, this is reality. So we did that. The Ministry of Justice position is quite different. They explained that the photographs used in an ad campaign featured real offenders and real prisoners, and therefore portray a black man as a criminal.
What? But if they're playing the roles in the advert that they occupy in real life,
that's a stereotype. I don't know how.
Sorry, mate. We've got to let you out. Sorry, you're a stereotype. You can't stay in here.
The person said it depicted a real person who had been convicted of an offence, and it was not an inaccurate or unfair representation, or the type of engagement that might be seen between officers and prisoners as unnormal. I'm still at the point where I don't understand the racism.
No, it's simply that. Oh, it's a black man. It cannot be shown in any negative way whatsoever. If you criticize anyone from that particular group, then you are racist.
There were
even
plenty of
unintentionally.
adverts with police officers and prison officers of different races interacting with different raced suspects and offenders. This is the only one with a white and a black interacting where the black was a offender and the white was a prison officer. That was the only one that was banned. All other interpretations of reality are allowed. This one, not allowed. In their view, there was value to showing the officers engaging in constructive interactions with colleagues and prisoners of varying ethnicities, since this was a crucial part of the role. Yeah, it is.
I mean, yeah, I agree with the prison. I never thought I'd say that sentence.
A key part of the campaign was about attracting diverse recruits to an essential public service. Of course it was. It is the government. The image only formed one part of an overall campaign, accounting for less than 5% of the spending on their ads, which used a variety of images showing officers of different ethnicities interacting with each other. None of these images used in the Facebook campaign showed white officers alongside ethnic minority prisoners, except this one. Which is the only one.
So actually, it's probably going to be disproportionate in the opposite direction, isn't it?
Yeah, disproportionately not reality.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't really want representation in representations of things in the first place. I mean, I'm not so sensitive that I'm just like, oh, white people are overrepresented in this prison. This is terrible. This is racism.
But even if you
It's
were,
weird.
your benchmark would be reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not. Because even though that's the benchmark, as in, like, we're going to show people of different ethnicities, even though it doesn't represent reality, this one represented reality too much for them to allow, because racial stereotypes. Right.
Of course.
The advertising agency assessed the post as it would have appeared in consumers' in-feed on Facebook, and not in the context of the overall campaign. We understand that there was a negative stereotype based on the association between the black man and criminal activity. No.
Surely implicit in all of this as well is if you spot the stereotype in the first place,
You're the racist?
yeah. I mean,
There was no stereotype. There was a negative association between the black criminal in the photo and being a criminal, which he is.
I don't know about you, but the first thing I would think if I saw that advert would be, oh, they're recruiting prison officers. I wouldn't think, oh, wow, they're being racist.
They're keeping a brother down. No, that's funny enough.
I think that you also understand that, you know, they're representing different roles. They're not meant to be representative of prisoners in terms of, you know.
It's representing racism. That was all that was on the cameraman's mind. We therefore assessed that the ad reinforced negative ethnic stereotypes. Didn't. But okay. The ad showed a real white prison officer and a real black male inmate in a prison setting. The inmate wore an afro pick comb in his hair, a tool we understand was uniquely associated with black culture. Well, you can ask the black inmate to be less black if you want. I don't know what that complaint is.
So the prison warden's going to come up, just sorry, mate, you've got to get the Michael Jackson treatment now.
You're too black for this photo. take the pick out, rub some chalk on your face. I don't know. Like, what a weird complaint. That we're not happy that this man looks more African than...
You would also presume that the people who took part in these adverts, if they're real prisoners, they couldn't be coerced into doing it. They must have volunteered and voluntarily been like, yes, well, I want to represent what a prisoner looks like.
Well, too bad you're black. It's not allowed in the advert. The ad made reference to a prison officer being problem solvers and life changers. And we considered it drew a link between the officer depicted and those attributes. Yeah, because he is a prison officer, contributes to society. I don't know what's upsetting about that. We want the prison officers to be shown as scum and the prisoners to be shown as heroes, say the advertising agency.
It's like having to go through this, it's like explaining it to a child, really breaking down the left's position here, or apparently the government's position.
Yeah. On the other hand, the black prisoner was depicted as a criminal. It's because he is. With no positive attributes. Yeah, I don't think crime's positive.
I mean, he was interacting civilly with the prison warden, which is more than you can say for a lot of prisoners. So that's not no positive attributes, is it?
He wasn't, in cuffs because he can't be trusted.
I mean, the guy was smiling. I mean, he's not going to smile if the person opposite him is bad. He's going to be concerned.
Yeah. We considered the ad did not suggest that all black men were criminals. Because it didn't. You children. Or were more likely to be so than any other ethnic group. Yeah, so there was no racial stereotyping, they're saying. Okay, so the reasoning for it being banned is based on nothing, they admit themselves. However, it showed an imbalanced power dynamic. Yeah.
That's what prisons are, yeah.
Yeah, the prisoners and the prison officers are not on the same power level. Saw the fuck.
So
I'm sorry, this is so stupid.
They're going to take turns. The prison warden's going to go in the prison cell, and then the prisoners are going to take over their job for a bit. It's going to be 50-50.
With a smiling white prison officer described as a life changer, it's because he is, and a black institutionalized prisoner, because he is.
Well, the things they're saying here, it's almost like the kind of things that you would write if you're trying to up your word count. Just like, what on earth are you on about?
There is no racism, but reality itself is racism. What a conclusion. We concluded that this ad was likely to cause serious offence on the grounds of race. It hadn't. Nobody had complained, but they just decided, because reality was racism, by reinforcing negative stereotypes about black men. Reality is a stereotype, according to these people. There are other posters, in case you're wondering. We'll have a look at those, because it's part of a much bigger campaign. If we go to the Home Office link, we can see those. We got quite a few in here. This is a guy. I don't know what ethnicity he is, but he's interacting with a black woman, so that's racism, presumably. Has to be banned. This one, white people, so no one cares. Who gives a crap about that?
But it's a white woman talking to a white man. Yeah. It must be sexism.
But if you scroll, I think it's the bottom one on this one is probably the most relevant to this injustice that has taken place. We have a white woman interacting with a black woman. So is that racism or not? Because the previous one was racism. There's an imbalance of power here. This black inmate and the white prison officer. She is clearly keeping her sister down. I don't know.
Yeah, why did they pick one and not the other then? Because
only
surely...
white men.
Okay.
It's the white man that's the problem.
So she's cured of the racism because woman.
Yeah. I don't know how else to put it. I suppose we'll also just go to reality for a moment to see what he has to say, which is let's look at the prison population. In case you're wondering, it's not very progressive. Reality itself. The BAME population is overrepresented within the prison population. Racism, again. In the prison population, 27% identify as ethnic minorities compared to 13% for the general population. I can't believe racism would do this. Black and black British make up 12% of the population of prisons, but only 3% of the population of Britain. I can't believe racism would do this. Clearly, the more adverts they destroy, the more we will fix this disparity. That's how things will actually work. The advertising agency, you guys are morons. You're actual idiots. I don't know what else to say. Either that or you're just cowards. You can't interact with reality because it makes you feel uncomfortable. What a joke. If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotusheaters.com to check out all the content we have on the site, such as this article from Bo, a red pill testimony. And if you'd like to find out what else we're putting out, you can follow us on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.